Hello, welcome to Die Rollin. I'm the ever excitable Adam, and you join me here today to talk about the week of Adam, as I am calling it. Thank you for joining me. If you are if you're watching this, then say hello in the comments. Otherwise, I have no way to tell who is actually watching, so it's good to know who's here, so I can say hi, give you a little shout out. So, what is the subject today? What is the week of Adam? Well, we'll get to that. Before we get to the meat and potatoes of this particular Wednesday waffle, we're going to go through my list of things I'm going to talk about. So here we go. And actually, quite a lot of this is the subject of what I'm going to talk about today. So before we begin, let's talk about what I've been playing as of late. Well, with a newborn, it's very hard to actually get some games to the table, but I've been able to get a few games to the table. I have a game night tonight as well, which is really exciting. I'm very much looking forward to going and playing this game later on. But let's talk about what I have been playing. So the first one on the list is Maladum. So I'll be talking a little bit more about Maladum. Hello there, random guy from France, or bonjour, should I say. That is the pretty much all the French I know. Your English is going to be much better than my French. Hello, Sean, another French guy. Always nice to see. He's the only French he knows is with his tongue. So the ladies tell me. So Maladum is a game I'll be going into a bit more detail in a little while, but essentially it is a pretty cool dungeon crawler. It's got some fantastic table presence, and I painted up all the miniatures for that before I started my Cthulhu Deathmay Die Marathon. So yeah, all of that stuff's painted, and you'll be seeing that on the channel. In the not too distant future. But I played the tutorial level, and with Maladum and a lot of board games these days, when they're kind of like a kind of bit more complex, they have tutorials. So you'll get like a rule book come with the game, but also a separate rule book which is just the learn to play guide. Because some people like myself will learn by playing as opposed to reading a rule set. By the way, if you're wondering what this lump here is, this is my pal Ron. And he's pretty much always here in this room, just kind of guarding things. He looks quite gruff, but he can also look quite surprised. But yeah, just in case you wondered what that was. And often when I'm doing my Wednesday waffle here, you might see a little shadow, and that is Ron just keeping guard there. Yeah, Ron's gone now. Ron's gone. He's long gone. So yes, the tutorial for Maladum is set to kill you, essentially. There is no way you can win that scenario as far as I'm concerned. They basically talk you through the first couple of rounds and say, right, this is where the character's going to move. So you move the character there, and then it says, now you'd roll dice to do this. But they said, but instead of rolling dice, this is the outcome you want. Let's pretend this happened. So you go, okay, that happened, and then you follow everything through. But strategically, there's certain things you wouldn't do in a game of Maladum that the tutorial forces you down that route of doing. So I might, for my very first video for Maladum, actually do the tutorial, but do it how I would do it, rather than how they tell you how to do it in there, because I don't believe you can win that scenario, because it is just, yeah. With Maladum, it is very much a game where you're playing kind of fantasy heroes. And, you know, you play any kind of dungeon crawler where you're playing, you know, barbarians or things like that. I know, what a rebel, eh? Then you kind of feel like, well, pretty much anything you're coming across is you know, you're going to kill them. It's simple as that. And with Maladum and the game it kind of like is kind of came from Core Space, you kind of come in thinking you're this really kind of tooled up character, but you can get overwhelmed very fast. So pretty much most of my games of Core Space, at least, were just running as quickly as possible to get to where I need to get to, and then running as quickly as possible to get out, blasting anything that got in my way, but mainly just trying to get to where I need to get out. Maladum is pretty much the same. You know, you've got to get in, get the objective, get out, but you can loot stuff on the way. And I'll talk about Maladum a bit more later. But yeah, so I played the tutorial for that. This is probably the third time I've played the tutorial and the third time I've lost. So at least I'm consistent. Next, we're going to talk about a game which is readily available for everyone called Cobra Paw. Cobra Paw is a pretty fun kind of domino stealing game. It's a game I picked up for the family at Christmas. And essentially what you have is a series of dominoes, and these dominoes have like a little dent in the middle, which is perfect for a finger. You have two dice, and the dice have the different symbols on them. You roll the two dice, and then you try to find the domino that matches those two dice. You grab it with your finger, and then you drag it into your play area. The first one to get 6 of those tiles wins. And if you roll the dice, and that domino isn't hello Nick. That domino isn't actually in the middle bit, but somebody has it, then you can just grab theirs. So it comes in a game where you are literally just grabbing everybody's kind of dominoes, and it's yeah, it's pretty good. There's some variants to it as well, so you can play it with one hand behind the back. And there's some other variants you can play to it, which is pretty fun. We just play the regular version, and it's worth noting, I don't normally win board games, to be fair, but I'm undefeated at Cobra Paw. Let that sink in. I'm undefeated. All the games I've played, I've never lost. Not a single one. And I'm playing it correctly, which is also, let that sink in. Yeah, so I've kind of got to the point now where I'm really irritating my kids when we play this, because every time it comes out, I'm like, well, now you must beat the champion. And I kind of feel like it's going to be one of those Homer Simpson moments where, you know, they're about to beat me and I somehow manage to get a win out of it, and then I'll just kind of like, I'll quit and say I'm never playing this again. I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't take that victory away from them. But yeah, it was a Bart Simpson who did that in the video game, not Homer. Anyway, Cobra Paw, highly recommend it. It's a really good family game, great game for Christmas. And yeah, it's just generally a fun game to play. Very simple premise, but yeah, it's fun, especially if you keep winning. So that's what I've been playing. Just the two games. I do have a game of Cthulhu Death May Die: Fear of the Unknown that is happening this evening with my regular friends, Dave Beck and Jack, who you've seen on the channel before. And yeah, we're going to be playing Cthulhu Death May Die ahead of my very exciting Cthulhu episode that I'm filming for Halloween next Monday, which I'll get to in a second. So that's what I've been playing. They're the games I've been playing. With great fun. Not loads of games, but some games, which is better than none. And lots of Xbox, because, you know, it's easier to have a newborn and play Xbox games where you don't have to, you know, kind of take 20 minutes setting something up to play for an hour and then 20 minutes put away when there's a newborn. So let's talk about what I've been painting. So that's playing. Now we're going about painting. Painting, I have been doing a ton of painting as of late. I started with Maladum because I really wanted to get onto the channel as quickly as possible. And what sets me apart from all the other guys, apart from the fact I don't get all the rules right, my camera angles aren't amazing, I don't have the technology or the ability to really do fantastic videos, the tech I use is pretty outdated. Apart from all those things, what sets me apart is I have moderately okay painted miniatures when I do my playthroughs. So normally if you're watching one of my actual gameplay videos, it will be with painted minis. And here's one that I'm painting at the moment, which you can't really see in any detail. But yeah, I'm painting this guy. But anyway, so Maladum, I painted all of that. It took me not too long. I just went at it and just painted. And thankfully, contrast paint really helps you get through armies of the undead, in this case, or other armies. So I painted up all of that. But as of late, I've been painting Cthulhu Death May Die ahead of the episode I want to do for Halloween. So I wanted to get all of the miniatures painted for that. And these miniatures are so detailed and so intricate. The kind of investigators, I was like, that's fine. They're just regular kind of human characters. I've done that before. But then you get out one of these elder gods, and they're so intricate and so, like, just amazing sculpts. And I'm like, how am I going to make that look non-crap if I don't have, like, an airbrush, which you can use to, like, do decent shading and stuff. But thanks to my friend Contrast Paint / Speed Paints, I managed to make them look okay. Like, I'm really proud of how they look, and you can see pictures of them on our Instagram or the channel itself. I put some posts up on there to say, hey, look how cool I am. Please say I'm beautiful. So, painted all the Cthulhu Death May Die minis, so they're already, and I'm currently on Chronicles of Drunagor. Chronicles of Drunagor is a game by We Are Creative Games. It is a dungeon crawl, surprisingly. You know, you kind of think I've got enough of those, but you can never have enough dungeon crawlers. I absolutely love them. And yeah, we're going to be getting out to the channel as soon as I have painted these guys up, which I'm getting through them fairly quick. I've done the one hero you need to for the tutorial. I've done most of the monsters you need for the tutorial as well. And I've got another, I want to say, about 20 minis left to do. Now, the nice thing is all the minis are pretty much the same sculpt, and there's 4 of each, or 3 of each for the big guys, and one really big guy. But yeah, the nice thing is, once you painted one of these guys, you know what paint you need to use, and you can just paint all 3 of them the same colour and go through the kind of blues and then the reds. Have you ever tried to remove mould lines on these plastic miniatures? Not the GW or Warlord game plastic. Such a pain in the... Yes. I've not. I know you can, and a lot of my Shadows of Brimstone miniatures, for instance, I mean, I'm 9 minutes in, nearly 10 minutes in, I've only just mentioned Shadows of Brimstone, so I should get an award for that. They have lots of mold lines on, and I'm a kind of guy who just likes to get stuff on the table as quickly as possible and paint it to an okay standard. So I don't take too much pride with my work, as you can probably tell with some of the videos I do. But yeah, the miniatures, you can have these mold lines on them, and you can kind of remove them using, you know, various different tools and stuff. I don't tend to do them because they are, like you say, a pain in the ass, or a dot 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 dot. But yeah, some of the Shadows of Brimstone ones I did remove because they just look kind of weird, where you had like a weird thing on their head, and it was like, well, that kind of detracts from the whole miniature. But generally, I just kind of paint them and leave them be and slowly back away. And you can use green stuff to kind of like just kind of clog up the little kind of holes in between where the plastic doesn't quite sit right. But yeah, I'm just, if it fits, it sits kind of the guy. I just chuck it together, paint it, put it on the table, play some games and have some fun. But yeah, it can be really tricky to do that. So Chronicles of Drunagor, I'm on the paint wagon at the moment, so expect to see lots of photos of that in the coming days as I get through that lot. I think I'll be able to get that done before I kind of have a little break. So yeah, I mean, I've got like 2 weeks, so I should be good. Right, let's talk about my Halloween special. So Halloween is coming up, and Halloween is probably one of my favourite things of all time. I just love Halloween, it's great. I was always into monsters as a kid, still into monsters now. And horror films, absolutely love them. So with that in mind, I always like to do something for Halloween, and this year I'm doing 2 things. Very ambitious for this guy. I'm still kind of working out the details for one of them. But the one I can definitely kind of talk about is going to be Cthulhu Death May Die. I previously mentioned it. If you don't know what Cthulhu Death May Die, basically what it is, normally in games which involve Cthulhu or an elder god from the kind of Lovecraft mythos even, normally what happens, you play investigators who have stumbled across some kind of plot for some evil cultists who would basically try to summon this elder being into reality, and kind of which will destroy all of mankind. The cultists, they've got some issues. I mean, they think it's going to work out for them, or I don't know. Anyway, so the whole thing is, you know, in any kind of Cthulhu game, you're normally just trying to stop it from happening. You're trying to defeat the bad guys before the elder thing comes, because this thing's a god from beyond time and space, and there's no way an average Joe can actually do anything about it as soon as it arrives. So normally in these mythos games, you just, you know, you defeat the cultists or whoever, you stop the ritual, and that's that. Cthulhu Death May Die takes a little angle to this, just a slight difference in the fact that it's too late. The cultists have got to a point, they're going to summon this thing, whatever. So you are banding together with a couple of investigators, and you just decide, you know what, let's kill it. Let's kill this thing. So you are basically trying to disrupt a ritual. So you've got this cultist trying to do something, and there's like 6 different levels on each game you play with 2 different elder gods, so you can kind of vary up a little bit. But yeah, so these cultists will be trying to do one thing. You've got to try and disrupt the ritual by, well, whatever that particular level is, and then hopefully summon the elder being early, so you can take them out. That's basically it. I've played 1 game of it so far, and I'm pretty certain I played the rules correctly. It was very close down to the wire. I just managed to get a victory, so probably was playing wrong. But I got a game of that tonight. I'm really looking forward to that. And this is ahead of my next Monday. I'm filming my Halloween special for Cthulhu Death May Die over at Outrider Games in Lichfield. Fantastic board game and hobby shop that you should definitely check out. And if you're in the area, let me know, and I'll come and play a game of something with you. But yeah, we're going to be filming that, and we're going to be hopefully filming it with Zoe, who is Unicorns and Board Games, is it? I can't remember her actual Instagram, but yeah, she's a fantastic content creator. You can find her on Instagram. I'm absolutely... Unicorn and Board Games, I think that's her name. But yeah, so we're going to be filming that, and hopefully me and she can defeat the Elder Gods, and yeah, and win. But yeah, you can expect to see that on Halloween once I've edited it all. I'm going to be a busy guy. But yeah, that's going to be up and Adam for you to check out on Halloween. The other thing that we've got coming out on Halloween is going to be a Shiver role-playing game, actual play. I'm teaming up with the Offline Gamer again, and Will from the channel, and we're going to be doing some spooky horror RPG stuff. There may be some other people I invite along, so watch this space. But yeah, essentially, there is a new version of Shiver the role-playing game coming out in the not too distant future, and that is around a kind of the theme for this one is kind of like X-Files. So with the quick start they kind of release. So when they have a role-playing game coming out, they normally give you a quick start PDF, which basically has all you need to know about the game, like all the rules and stuff, and like an adventure, so you can run it to see if this is something that will, fit well with your group. So the one they give with this one is called The Lost Ship, and it's a really cool Cthulhu-esque kind of mystery set on a ship. So yeah, we're going to be running that, and by we I mean I. So watch this space, and hopefully it will be enjoyable. We already have one up on the channel called Mr. Husk. If you ever want to play a game of Shiver with me, do not watch that video, because I will basically run that game because I know it very well. But yeah, the Mr. Husk role kind of scenarios is so fun. And we did that a couple of years ago now, I think, with the Offline Gamer, with Dolly from Summon Games, and my friend Isabel, who is a fantastic actress. So yeah, so we'll see what happens this time around. If it's another fun thing, if people enjoy it, we'll do more of them. There are some more role-playing games coming out on the channel in the not too distant future as well, probably towards the end of the year or maybe next year. But yeah, I enjoy running role-playing games; they're really fun. So we shall see. So that's pretty much everything I had to cover off before we get to the main topic of today's talk. But before I get to today's talk, if you are an Ultimate Badass on the channel, which basically means if you subscribe to the channel, you pay me a small amount of money, then you can vote to say who you want to be the investigators for the game of Cthulhu Death May Die that we play on the channel for Halloween. So get those votes in ASAP. We've got a couple in the moment, so we shall see. At the moment, I think the monk is leading. So yeah, and I played with him the other day. He was really fun, so that should be good. Okay, let's talk about the week of Adam. So what is the week of Adam? Well, as you may be aware, I have a newborn, so it's very hard to create content when you've got someone crying and also the newborn. Yeah, I can make some stuff, like I can do stuff now, I can film, some short little videos here and there, but I can't sit down and do a full gameplay video like I normally do of one of the many various games that I enjoy playing. For instance, Undaunted 2200, we've been filming that recently, but that's not been here. I've had to go somewhere else to film that. So it's been very hard to, film some proper content. And it's gutted because I've got so many fun games that have arrived. I really want to get through these games, and it just so happens that I have got a little bit of a break coming up, and then after the break, I have an entire week just to myself to play the board games. So I have enlisted a couple of people to assist with this, and I'm just going to go through what I'm going to do with the week, really. And if there's any games that you know that we do on the channel, and you'd love to see some more of during that time, then let me know in the comments below. Well, just speak now, and I'll try and put this into the list. I've got a list of things I'm going to film, and then I'm going to kind of decide who's going to film that with me and figure out when it's going to happen and stuff like that. So just move things around logistically. But let's talk about it. What am I playing on that week? So the first one I'm going to talk about is Countdown to Chaos, which is an escape room we were sent. So I quite enjoy escape rooms. They're fun. I feel they're kind of overpriced, and if you're very good at them, you don't get your money's worth, because you could be out there in half an hour and then you're like, well, what do we do now, guys? Which is why I like the Hideout in Birmingham. There is an escape room there, but it's also attached to a board game cafe. So you can go in and you can do an escape room, and then when you come out early or you come out late or whenever, you can go sit down and play board games. I think it's fantastic. That's a great idea. So yeah, I've done like the odd escape room at home kind of thing. And I know my family got through a bunch of the Detective Society's kind of games. But yeah, we were sent one by the Detective Society called Countdown to Chaos, which is someone's trying to sabotage a spaceship launch or something, so you have to stop that. So we're going to be doing that on the channel, and we will do kind of 2 videos for that. One will be basically a review, a spoiler-free review where we talk about how it went. Another one will be an actual play of us doing it. So you can watch myself, Alex, and Will struggling to escape from an escape room. So that could be very fun or really dull, I don't know, but we shall see. And maybe we'll do it in character. Maybe that'll make it more interesting. But yeah, so we're going to be doing Countdown to Chaos. That'll be at some point during the week. Well, I say some point. Saturday. The Saturday of that week is going to be happening because that's going to be my party day. So I got some really fun party games that I want to show you guys. So Would Like to Meet being one of them, where you're essentially doing classified ads about people you'd like to meet. And lots of other really fun little kind of party games that we have. And I just need to get some people together so we can actually film them and play them. And this is the perfect opportunity. One of the other games is going to be, oh my god, Phantom Inc., which is another game I actually played recently. I didn't put it down here because I haven't put it on my board game stats, idiot. Phantom Inc. being a really fun game where you have got two people who are two teams, and on each team you have a spirit. The spirit has, both spirits have a card which have a word on there. They agree which word out of these 6 words they're going to choose, and then they have to get their team to guess what that word is. And how the team guesses what that word is they have a bunch of question cards, and they could be like, what kind of what part of the world would I associate with this? What would happen if I put it in my mouth? So some really interesting questions, some really ridiculous questions. And out of your hand are like 7 cards. You choose 2 of these questions. You give them face down to the spirit. The spirit looks at them, chooses one which they're going to answer. They discard the other one face up, and then they have a pad of paper. And then one letter at a time, they write their answer to that question. And at any point, the team who are kind of guessing can say silencio, and you have to stop. Now, the reason you want to stop before you finish the word off is because if you finish the word off, the other team can see what that word is. And when it comes to their turn of guessing, they're going to remember that word and then the word that's being written by their spirit. And then they can try and use those words to try and figure out what the thing is. One of the cards, which was really interesting when we played it, said, it wasn't a question, it just said, put down a word that has nothing to do with the word you're trying to get people to guess, just to throw people off. So the word we were trying to get them to guess was dolphin, and my opposite spirit wrote down the word watermelon, and it really did throw off my team. They were like, what? So yeah, that was a really, really fun thing. So yeah, Phantom Inc. will be doing that on the channel as well on that Saturday as well. And all these things, obviously, we're going to be filming in a week. So this is going to be a very tired guy by then. My voice might have gone, but we're filming in a week. And then that'll get us content for the rest of the year, really, and into next year. So yeah, that'll be a nice little weight off of my shoulder. But yeah, so the Saturday full of party games, and it's going to be Alex and Will coming over. We might get another person to come and join us, because yeah, Phantom Inc. you need 4 players for, so I do need somebody else. But yeah, we'll get some sorted out. Psycho Killer is something else we're going to be doing there. So we have a ton of different fun expansions from Psycho Killer. So we'll be going through all that, and it's just such a fun Halloween themed game. Obviously it'll be after Halloween at that point, but I'll still be in the spooky mood at that point, so yeah, watch your space for that. Okay, so what else? Undaunted 2200, really enjoying doing that on the channel at the moment with Jack. I've got a session in with him to basically do the next 2 episodes of that. You can expect to see the next episode of this on Friday, so that'll be episode 3 if you are not an Ultimate Badass, or episode 4 if you are an Ultimate Badass. You get, if you're not an Ultimate Badass, you get it the week after on the Friday. So yeah, if you subscribe, you're really interested in seeing what happens. Obviously, you can become a member. Otherwise, you can just wait a week and it'll happen. You'll see it. It'll happen, guys. Just trust me. But yeah, Jack and I going hell for leather, trying to defeat each other at a game of Undaunted 2200 Callisto. Undaunted 2200 Callisto, by the way, is very hard to remember which order those words go in. And so many times on those videos, if you wait till after the kind of little outro, there's a little blooper of me getting it wrong because I just cannot say that. I'm very proud. I think it's because I wrote it down. I was able to say it in the right order here. But I really love the setting of the Undaunted 2200 Callisto setting. And they've got a new deck builder coming out next year based in the same setting. So I'm really excited to see what happens with that. It's just a fun sci-fi setting that I can get behind. But yeah, so more Undaunted 2200. There is going to be a break in when you'll see the footage for that because we've only filmed 4 and I won't be filming another one before next week. So yeah, you'll have to just wait, I guess. Right, next, Heroes of the Shire. So Heroes of the Shire is an absolutely beautiful game. I absolutely love this. I sat down with Jack a while back. We sat down, we played the player versus player mode. We had Marvel Zombicide, and we had Heroes of the Shire. Undaunted seemed to be very similar to Nemesis. I'm talking about the card deck to make actions. Yeah, so I guess you are right to some regards on that, because with Nemesis you have 10 cards in your hand, and you have in your deck you have 5 cards in your hand, and you're basically using those cards to perform actions. And it's a very similar kind of thing with Undaunted, where you have cards in your hand, and you can either use them to do the action on the card, or you can use them to do other things. Only difference I'd say with Undaunted is, with Undaunted, you start off with, I think, 11 cards in your hand, and then as the game goes on, those cards represent the hit points to all your units, so you actually have to add extra cards into your deck. So it's more of a deck builder than Nemesis. Nemesis, you got 10 cards, that's you, until you get all the horrible kind of infected cards. Shout out if you've not played Nemesis, by the way, in the comments. I'd love to know who's not played it, and if you'd be interested in playing it, because it's one of my favourite games. It's so thematic. But yes, Daunted is very similar in that regards. So, Heroes of the Shire is a fancy game. I played a bunch of PvP with. I knew John when they played it. We'll have to play it, John. And I actually know the rules to Nemesis. Believe it or not, I know them inside and out. Even the fact that in the first edition I have, a round is called a turn and a turn is called a round. But that's the most confusing thing about it. Heroes of the Shire. So Heroes of the Shire, you're going to be going, you can either play a PvP mode, where you are basically working in teams to attack each other and whittle your hit points down to 0, or you can do the scenario mode. We're going to be doing the scenario mode on the channel, where we're going to be going up against various beasties. We have 2 different kind of modes to it. There's like, well, kind of settings. There's a kind of lava mode and icy mode. So the icy mode, you're going up against like frost, spider, and that's all I've come across so far, because I've just played that. But yeah, so that's either going to be a co-op we're going to play, or it's going to be just me playing the whole thing. But yeah, Heroes of the Shire, I absolutely love this game, and every time I get out I'm like, oh my god, this is just such a fun game, and it's just, yeah, not many people talk about it, which I just don't get. The artwork is fantastic, the gameplay is really fun. It's not for everyone, but it definitely is a game I really enjoy. And I love the fact there's a PvP mode, plus there's a PvE mode, player versus environment, for those who didn't know. So yeah, Heroes of the Shire, we're going to be doing, I'm going to be spending a day filming that, so that'll be several hours of me filming that, going back to the rules, putting the camera on charge, then playing, carrying on, and just doing that for an entire day, and trying to remember to eat. That's going to be the most important thing about the whole week. Okay, let's talk about Maladum. So I mentioned that very briefly at the beginning. If you missed that, Maladum is a dungeon crawl campaign where you have got what kind of sets it apart from the other dungeon crawlers out there. And there is a few dungeon crawlers out there. You've got a neoprene mat that goes on the table. You then have these kind of reinforced cardboard walls and doors that you are going to stick together with plastic little kind of, not sure what the word is, attaches. Let's say attaches. That's not the word, but hey, English is my first language. So you kind of connect them together with the plastic attaches, and you build yourself this little dungeon. You look at a map, it tells you what to do, and then you have these little kind of treasure chests, and you open up the little treasure chest, and out of your pouch of all these little kind of tokens, you put those tokens into the treasure chest. You close the treasure chest up, you put them on the board. Obviously, you try not to look to see what you're putting into the treasure chests. There are tombs in there. You're going to be opening those up, putting stuff in there. You're basically putting all these different like tokens into all these different kind of lootable containers and going through and looting the heck out of this place. With Maladum, you are these kind of classic fantasy trope characters. You're on a quest, so there's a branching campaign in this. So depending on what you do, what objectives you find, you're going to go down a different route. So every time you play this game for a campaign, at least, it's going to be different, because you're going to be making different decisions, finding different things, and yeah, it'll kind of, yeah, you'll see what happens, I guess. So yeah, so you've got a quest, you've got a mission you have to do, you go into there, you have to kill boss, or, you know, go to this objective room, find this objective somewhere in here, and as you're doing that, there's a kind of threat tracker that you're putting a peg in at the start of every round, and as it goes up and up, things just get more and more deadly. You get more and more of these horrible enemies spawning on the board. You get more of the event cards that you pull out every round. They have worse effects as they get further up. And if you get to the very top, then yeah, it's not good. And some of these levels, like the tutorial, they have a thing where you, once it gets to one stage on there, game over. And one of the things with the tutorial is it's very hard to actually complete it, following all the steps they're telling you to do in the time you have. You know, they're like, oh, do these things for like 4 rounds and stuff that's going to increase this threat tracker. Just keep doing this stuff. And then we're going to leave you to it. So you've done like 3 rounds now. You know what you're doing. Oh, see if you can do it. You can't do it. If you play Malum and you complete it, let me know in the comments below because I don't believe you. So I'm going to be filming a ton of Malum stuff, and that might be on location at O'Reilly Games. I might be actually filming that with the guys from O'Reilly Games because it'd be nice to get them included, and it's also their kind of thing, I think. So yeah, watch your space for that. So that's Malum. Next, there might be some Cthulhu Death May Die. I've mentioned that before, so I'll kind of go past that. We're going to talk about Hellbringer. So there's a video game called Diablo or Diablo. This is a game where you are basically like an adventurer, and there is a devil that's been kind of arisen, and you're going through all these dungeons and just smacking the crap out of everything and leveling up and getting all the rare loot and that kind of stuff. Someone decided to make a board game of it, and it is really fun. I played the tutorial of it, I played the first level of it, and I was like, yep, this is pretty cool. So we're going to get this out on the channel. It's a really lovely game. What's really interesting about it is you have you put the monsters on the board. The monsters are represented by cards, and depending on how much light is in the dungeon depends whether you can see them or not. So these things can be in the dark and just firing stuff at you, and you can't do anything about it. So you have to try, and when you're leveling your character up, you have to kind of, there's a bit of risk and reward kind of leveling up system. So you have to try and figure out, oh, do I want to kind of level my strength a bit more, or do I want to make sure I can see anything if it's, you know, you don't want invisible stuff that you can't hit, right? So yeah, it's tricky. But yeah, I'm really not doing it much service by kind of going over a brief overview of this from what I remember from playing this about a month ago. But yeah, we'll be playing Hellbringer on the channel that week as well. So that'll be fantastic. And of course, we will have a Wednesday Waffle that week as well. So that might be an actual live play of a game, or it might just be me telling you how my week of Adam is going. So that is Hellbringer. Next, let's talk about the biggest box I have received in a long time. League of Dungeoneers. So, League of Dungeoneers is the, I don't know, is the epitome of role-playing game / board game hybrid. This absolutely crazy guy has sat down and basically made a huge system where you can make your own kind of characters. So you can be like a dwarf, alchemist, which I really like the idea of, an elf mage, you know, all these kind of classes, you know, character races and classes. So you do all the regular role-playing stuff. And then you've got like an overworld map. You're going to be traveling around this overworld map, having events, encounters, those kind of things, going to towns, finding quests, then going into these dungeons. The dungeons, so interestingly, you basically have a certain amount of tiles in there, a certain amount of rooms and a certain amount of corridors, which you have like a deck of cards. You can be putting those together. So it says you got 5 rooms, 5 corridors in there. And then you have an objective card, which has the same backing as the room deck and the corridor deck. You then shuffle the rooms and corridors together. You then take like the bottom 4, you take that objective card, you shuffle those in together, you put them at the bottom of the deck, and then that is your exploration deck. That goes on the board. When you open a door up and you find a new room, you take the top card from that. It says whether it's a corridor or a room. And then if you ever get to a point where you have more than one exit from the room, then you are going to split that deck by basically dealing the cards out and then putting them on the 2 different rooms, 2 different doors. So you might end up going down one kind of passageway and the objective's not there because it was actually in that other deck. And obviously the more doors you find in there, the more that's going to be split out and you're going to go, you know, go around trying to find these things. So I am going to be filming this. It's been something I've wanted to get on the channel. I filmed the unboxing, of course. I filmed creating a ranger character on there. But I haven't actually been able to get this physically to the table because it's it's a mammoth task. It is a game that requires you to have a whole evening free to play this, or, you know, a day or 2 to play this. So it's not a small task. If you're one of those lucky people who has a board game table or a table where you can just set a board game up and leave it, and no one's going to interfere with it or mess with it. You don't have cats or dogs or anything that's going to come in there and, or children who can just take stuff around and go, oh, Dad, what's this? And you're like, why did you move that? Yeah, then you can have this set out and you keep coming back to it. Great. I don't have that situation. I game on my kitchen table, so yeah, there's not really much wiggle room there. It's the choice of having a game set up or my kids having cereal not in front of the television. So there we go. So League of Dungeoneers, I'm really excited about playing this. It looks so much fun. So yeah, expect to see that on the channel because I'm spending 2 days of my week of Adam just filming that stuff because I think it's going to take a while. And it's one of those games where I'm going to have to play a little bit of it before I can actually film it, just so I get the rules set in my head. Obviously, a week of different games means I'm probably going to get some of these rules wrong because I'm going to be going from one game system, oh, this works like this way, going to another one and be like, oh, this works like this way. No, that's how that game worked. This is a different rule set. But it's fine. I don't normally get rules wrong. So that's League of Dungeoneers. Finally, last but not least, Chronicles of Drunagor. I'm currently painting this up. This is a really fun looking dungeon crawler, which has an interesting, a few interesting mechanics on it. So rather than just like rolling dice to kind of beat 7 shades of shit out of something, you are assigning kind of action cubes and then rolling a dice. Once you kind of assign an action cube, you have to then rest to kind of get those cubes back. There's like a corruption mechanic to it, so the darkness is always trying to like expand and corrupt all your kind of hero characters, so that can actually affect what you can do with your character. There's also the fact that you have these plastic game trays which make up the board. So you put one of these game trays out, you put a little tile on top, you put your character on there, you put any enemies that are on there, and the doors. Now the doors are really interesting in it because the doors are basically this little kind of pamphlet you fold over so it looks like a door, you place into where the door is, and then when you get to the point of opening the door, you open it up, you read out the pamphlet, it tells you which is the next room. So then you set the new room up. So you're not going to know what those rooms are. It's not like you have a huge kind of like book and every time you go to a new one, every time you start an adventure, it has all the tiles laid out. You don't know what the next room is going to be. You know what enemies are going to be in there. And what's also really cool about this is there's a QR code on there. So if you've played this campaign a couple of times, which I don't know who does this. Do you do this, guys? Do you play a campaign more than once? Because I don't think I ever have. I think I played campaigns once and then that's me done. But with this, if this is the only game you own and you just love Chronicles of Drunagor, you want to keep playing and playing and playing and always get surprised, then you scan the QR code and it actually comes up with a completely different room layout. There's like a whole thing online of different rooms and stuff that you can just scan and it'll give you a random room. So there is a bit of randomness in there as well, which I think is fantastic for replayability, which is so important in board games these days, especially if you are going to replay these things. Me, I don't often replay board games which have campaigns. I normally clock them and I'm like, right, that's me done. Let's move on to the next thing. That's if I even manage to complete the campaign. Yeah, too much games to play. Pretty impossible to play a campaign twice. I agree with you. I think it is very tricky to actually go back and play these things when there's such a plethora of games out there. Especially for me, there's so many games and then there's review copies coming through and there's other games that are showing it and I go to these things and sometimes I don't manage to finish the campaigns that I started or wanted to play. So yeah, so it's kind of tricky really, just having that, having the ability to stick at it. I was very tempted with getting the Frosthaven game, but I was like, I won't be able to play it. It's not going to happen. I'll play like 10 scenarios and then that'll be it and I'll just sit there. Which happens a few times with some games that I have played. But I think how to combat that is if you have a regular gaming group who are invested in it. Arkham Horror, the living card game, I absolutely love this. But it's very hard to play solo and keep going because I just get so... I might make a rules mistake and then I'm like, oh, I've just messed the whole thing up and then do I reset? Or, if you just keep losing those in Arkham Horror, which you can do, it can be a bit disheartening. You're like, am I enjoying this? I just feel like I'm having my arse handed to me every level now. But I sat down with my regular gaming group. There was 3 of us. We clocked the Dunwich cycle, and it was just really fun. So I think if you are going to play a campaign game to fruition, you don't have the, you need the kind of motivation to do it, then get yourself a regular gaming group, and then if everyone's on the same page, everyone's invested in completing that game, then that's fantastic. But yeah, so Chronicles of Dronagor, I'm really looking forward to playing this. It looks so cool. There's a ton of content in the game as well. So, I mean, to be fair, just with League of Dungeoneers, the one I mentioned previously, I could just make a YouTube channel just covering that. There's so much stuff in there. Same, Chronicles of Dronagor, that could last me 6 months. Like, the amount of content that's in there, you could just play that game and just play that game solidly. Here's the Shire, similar thing. There's so many different combination things. You could do videos just on all the different players doing PvP modes. All the, the scenario, the solo scenarios play with multiple different characters. Yeah, there's just so much content you can drive out of these things. One thing you may notice I didn't mention is Shadows of Brimstone, which is rare for me not to mention. I mentioned it 10 minutes into this video, and I mentioned it now 30 minutes later. Shadows of Brimstone, I don't know. I kind of got to a point with Shadows of Brimstone where I made some real mistakes, and I got a bit of flack online about it. I felt a bit disheartened, if I'm honest. So I decided to kind of pause it for the moment so that I can focus on some other games and really focus on some of the games, learn the rule sets, play them properly, and then go back to Shadows of Brimstone once I've had a chance to really revise, have a look at the rules for that, and really work on it. So yeah, so I am going back to Shadows of Brimstone. I own so much for it, and I absolutely love playing it. It's such a fun game. But yeah, it's so complicated. There's so many different rules in there, and so many different contradictory rules as well. You have rules that override other rules, and it's trying to figure out the timing of when things happen, and just remembering the 13th card that you have that has equipment card for one of your characters that has an ability that only triggers in this very specific circumstance. Or one thing that was in the scenario that was the very beginning of the level you started playing, and you're 2 hours in, and you're trying to remember all this stuff. It's a lot. So I now have crib cards I use when I'm playing the game, which will just basically point out all the things my characters have and when they trigger. So when I go back to filming Shadows of Brimstone Trideran Strike Team, which is the main one I'm doing at the moment, I was playing with 4 characters, but I might just reduce it down to 3 or 2, which works fine because I did just have a kind of a really bad level where they got taken out by the enemy. So maybe I just reduce it to 2 going forward and alternate the 2 as it goes through. We'll see. However, I have had a bit of a brainwave on there. Obviously, we have a new subscription service on the channel, Ultimate Badasses, and trying to figure out what kind of content I can do, which kind of makes it worth you guys supporting me. So something I'm toying with is doing a custom Shadows of Brimstone campaign, similar to the campaigns you get with the Adventurer kind of sets, where I will basically come up with a bunch of different missions, and anyone can play them, and I'll basically create these missions. I'll then do them on the channel, and only the Ultimate Badasses will be able to see these things, and then I can release the actual files for those guys to actually play them themselves. But at the moment, I'm thinking of the best enemies in my mind are the Crimson Hand, who are these cultists who are in every single game that Flying Frog Productions make. And I was thinking, there is an expansion that I have which has 4 missions for them, but they're not really interlinked. And one of my main problems with Shadows, and a lot of people's criticisms of Shadows of Brimstone, is the fact that the campaign isn't linked. It's not very, the narrative doesn't carry on through, because they are just individual kind of missions, apart from the adventurers modes, which is very much, they are linked by a narrative campaign. So I feel like I could do a decent job at doing a kind of Crimson Hand campaign. So there is a Crimson Hand campaign coming out where you're going to be playing. So I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about creating, having a look at the Crimson Hand expansion, having a look at one of the base games, and going, right, if I just take components from these 2 things, can I make a little campaign that anyone can follow through? Pardon for the expression. So yes, that's what I'm going to do. So if you're an Ultimate Badass, you can look forward to seeing that, and I'll be asking some, I'll be putting some posts out just for Ultimate Badasses eyes only, who can comment on what they'd like to see in there. I'm also thinking of doing some versus modes as well, so taking certain characters and fighting them against each other. So yeah, that is going to be coming out in the not too distant future. Anyway, what are you guys up to? What have you been playing? What have you been painting? I know John's been painting little fireman figures, which look fantastic. Always tricky painting yellow, but they do look pretty cool, so well done there. One thing I did forget to mention, I am doing on the Week of Adam. I'm finishing the Week of Adam on a bit of a high. We're going to be going to the Dice Box in Leamington to play a bunch of board games with a bunch of other content creators. And I would have been playing board games pretty much solidly from the Sunday evening. So it's a whole week of just board games and trying to remember to eat. Dungeon Crawlers, I've just played 15 games of D&D board games straight. Yep, paint minutes after you inspired me. Yeah, well done for just getting through a bunch of D&D. That is fantastic. Congratulations. Always fun playing Dungeons & Dragons and role-playing games, and yeah, especially the board game is pretty fun too. And John, you're welcome. I hope anyone who does watch my painting kind of lives that I do on here realizes how easy it is to actually paint and make them look half decent. A lot of people are put off from painting because it seems like you see some really good videos online of people painting stuff, or if you're on Instagram, you see so many beautiful miniatures. You go to UK Games Expo or Aircon or something like that, and you have miniatures painted up by professionals, and they look so good. But guys, anyone can paint. Whether they should or not is a different matter, but anyone can paint, and you can make them look half decent. You can get away with a lot these days with things like contrast paints, which are just. So when you're painting, you basically are supposed to do three things with it. You're supposed to do a base layer, which is like just the regular color. You're then supposed to kind of do a wash, which highlights certain areas of it, and also do highlights, which basically is a lighter color over areas that are kind of like raised. So you can kind of like make it look really cool. So cloaks can look really fantastic if you spend a bit of time with them. Contrast paint does all three of those things with one little stroke of your brush. They don't look as good as somebody who's actually taken their time to paint stuff. So my Cthulhu Death May Die miniatures, for instance, where did I pull the paint from? So there's a desk right in front of me, and I've got all my painting set up on here. So it's not I've not just been having this paint here. That's why I could just pull this little skeleton dude out because paint, brush. There we go. Knocking the table as I do it. But yeah, anyone can paint. It's so easy. Contrast paints really help you. And one of the things I find tricky is is actually the motivation to keep going with painting. If you have something like a cool mini or not product that comes out, so if we were talking like Zombicide, you get a new Zombicide thing, you're like, oh my god, this is fantastic. Oh my god, this is fantastic. You get it out, and there's like 80 miniatures, and some of them all in the same sculpt, and you're like, oh, that's a lot. That's a lot to paint. John, you're doing the right thing where you start with the small, like again with a small amount of pieces in there, just paint those up and then go from there. I started with Arcadia Quest, which has, I don't know, 40 minis in there, and they do not look good. The last time I got Arcadia Quest out with my kids, they were laughing at the poor quality of the miniatures. That's when I tried to paint eyes. I don't paint eyes anymore, except for on the Elder God I did for Cthulhu Death May Die, because yeah, you had to really. Motivation comes when you improve and get better at painting. Yeah, I find for me motivation to paint stuff is this channel. I always enjoy painted miniatures when I'm playing with stuff. Yeah, 6 Identical Firefighters is testing John's patience. Yes, I am not surprised. It can be tricky to just keep going. My motivation is this channel really. Having to paint these things up before I play them on the channel really helps me actually get through them all. Cthulhu Death May Die, when that arrived, I was like, these minis look so good. And there's a bunch of content on YouTube already of Cthulhu Death May Die. And I was like, well, how can little old Adam, who is a very small corner of the internet, how can he, compete with anybody else when it comes to Cthulhu Death May Die? And I can't, but I can make these miniatures look a little bit nicer by putting a bit of paint on them. And honestly, using contrast paint, the miniatures are so forgiving. You can just get them look really good. Yeah, a bunch of identical firemen. That's tricky. That's a tricky start. But yeah, it's a start. That's the main thing. Next will be your Bill and Ted, right? Go on to that. But yeah, if I can paint them, I think pretty much anyone can. The only thing I have is I've painted this for a few years now, so I have an idea of certain techniques and stuff. But yeah, like it comes with practice. And like you said, the more you do this, the more you improve, the more incentive you have. Flamme Rouge is next. Well, little guys and bikes. I've not played Flamme Rouge, but I'd like to because I really enjoy Heat, and I believe Heat is kind of the next one on from that. They basically used mechanics from that, and they made Heat, and Heat is just great. So yeah, that's about it really. That's about it from me this week. I'm really excited about my week of Adam. Just a whole week of just having fun and playing board games. Not a care in the world. I've got meeting up with a couple of friends during it. And yeah, it should be nice. It should be a good little time. So yeah, watch your space really. And if there's any particular games you'd love to see on the channel I haven't mentioned, then let me know in the comments below, and I'll see what I can do. Have you guys decided what you're going to be playing for Halloween yet? Yeah, whoa. Is there any particular horror games you're planning on doing, or spooky games for Halloween? I'm going to be actually away for Halloween, and I'm going to be taking Horrified and Betrayal at House on the Hill. If I could take a Touch of Evil, I definitely would. Because A Touch of Evil is probably, yeah, I'd say that's probably the best game to play for Halloween in my honest opinion. But yeah, it's not the kind of crowd where I could play that kind of game. Whereas Horrified and Betrayal at House on the Hill is a lot more kind of casual, friendly. A Touch of Evil is pretty simple once you get the basics of it, but it takes a bit longer. Well, yeah, John, no plans yet. You should definitely get a game in for Halloween. Like 100% to get something in, because how often can you play a spooky game? And you know, this is the perfect season to be doing it. I mean, I can play spooky games all the time because a lot of my collection are horror games. I'd love to get Gathering Gloom back out. Gathering Gloom. I just pitched this game to you. We did it on channel. You can watch a video for it. But let me pitch this game to you. Gathering Gloom is, so if you imagine you are the Addams family or the Munsters, okay, so you're basically a bunch of monsters that are hiding in plain sight in a town, and you basically have to try to survive a bunch of rounds, and you're going to have these villagers coming out and basically accusing you of being they're monsters. So you kill them, and then you have to hide their body, and you have to try to push the investigation away from you being monsters and stuff. There's a huge kind of like anti-monster league who are trying to catch you. It's just such a fun game where you are basically just trying to murder people and get away with it, and just hide their bodies, and just try to survive 20 rounds or however long. The artwork's fantastic in it, and it's just yeah. It's one of those games where you have stories as you play it. So I remember when we played it last, there was so all the villagers who come out, all the townsfolk that come out, they all have different, like, you know, there's like a deputy, there's a sheriff, there's the guy that I remember was, I think his name was Roy, and he was a golfer. He was like a golf pro or something. And me, Alex, and Will, Will, and I, when we were playing it, we were like, this guy was the main threat because he knew about us. So we were like, we need to get this guy, and it was just really fun, like figuring out ways we could kill this golfing guy, and then having to hide his body somewhere. Yeah, it's a really fun game, Gathering Gloom. So that is definitely one I didn't mention during the Halloween games, but I maybe should have, because it's just a really kind of kooky and spooky theme. I'm gonna have to relearn that and maybe play that again with some people, because yeah, just thinking about it brings a smile. It's just just such a funny concept of just murdering people and loving it, really, I guess. Anyway, that's the end of my waffle this week. There's going to be a waffle next week, and the week after that is going to be my pre-Adam week, so you won't be seeing a waffle from me unless for some random reason I can do one. People do tell me to do one often. But yeah, you may see one, but you probably won't. So there's going to be one next week, and not sure what I'm going to do yet. It might be some more paintings. So I am trying to get through Shadows of Brimstone, Valley of the Serpent Kings. So yeah, I might do some of that painting. I might do something else. I don't know yet. It's next week Adam's problem. This week Adam's problem is finish what he needs to do. So I'm going to go get myself a wagon wheel and a cheese and pickle sandwich and a cup of tea, and enjoy the rest of my existence, I guess. Thank you, John. Thank you, everyone, for joining in and also talking. It's always nice having a chat, and I'm not just like talking at you. Ron, really appreciated everyone being in here today, as you can see. Well, back in the grunt mode now. And now you'll know, if you are watching this, you know, what that little kind of shape is down there. It's Ron. And now the best bit of this is me trying to turn this off and the finger going over the lens. I always enjoy this. So before I do that, please, guys, if you do get a chance, plugging myself again, if you get a chance and you fancy supporting the channel to keep the lights on, then please consider becoming an Ultimate Badass. There's something in the link below where you can, in the description, where you can follow that and you can join. And just for £2 a month, you can help support the channel, and you'll get some fun things like being able to see videos early, some exclusive videos, and I will be running competitions in the new year, which will only be kind of available for anyone who's who's on here as an Ultimate Badass. That includes like discounts to web stores as well, so not just random stuff from me. It'll be some actual fun things, maybe some games chucked in there for good measure. Anyway, so yeah, Ultimate Badass, if you can do that, then great. If not, no problem. I don't want to hide all of this beautiful content and this lovely face behind a paywall. So it's there in case you're wondering. If not, no problem. But until next time, guys, stay safe or die rolling. Now comes the awkward bit.